Need more gold bars in aisle three? More gold bars, aisle three. Sorry, out of stock. Man, Costco is still selling out of gold bars like hotcakes. This has been happening since they started selling early in September. Actually, nah, we're doing hotcakes way too much favor here because they're selling way faster than hotcakes. So, Costco CFO Richard Galanti just stated that the company sold more than $100 million worth of gold bars last quarter. That is a lot of gold bars. And it would have been a whole lot more if they had the stock and they didn't put a 2 bar limit per customer. And look, let's be honest, that's especially a lot of gold bars from a company that typically sells bulk groceries. And of course, we're talking about premium gold bars, the 24 karat 1 ounce Pamp Suisse Lady Fortuna bars. Yes, I know I'm not pronouncing that right. That's the way I like to say it, and it makes me laugh because this one guy always comes to my videos and corrects me. He says, "It's Fortuna." So, Lady Fortuna is for you, buddy. And look, personally, I think this whole thing is awesome. It's like, hey, I'll take a 24 pack of toilet paper, a large bag of apples, a double pack of Fruit Loops, oh, and a couple gold bars too. Although, good luck with the gold bars because they are selling out almost immediately when they get listed online. And even though this Costco news is great for precious metals, it's actually nowhere near the biggest news I'm going to be talking about today. More on that in just a moment, but make sure you first subscribe. Just give that button a little Happy Gilmore friendly tap-tap-a-roo. So here's what I want everyone to pay attention to. Costco is almost a $300 billion company. They understand the trends. They have insider information. They've been around for over 40 years now, and they've only gotten bigger. How do you think that's happened? Probably because they know what they're doing. Costco started selling gold bars because they understand the markets and they understand the trends. And not to even mention that shares of Costco have surged over 45% this year. So this shows that not only does Costco know what they're doing, but the people believe in Costco. Go Costco, go Costco. I feel like my wife right now cheering. She was actually a 4-time national champion cheerleader. Little side note for you. And I always give her a really hard time telling her that cheerleading isn't a sport and that she got some awesome medals in an activity. Of course, I don't really believe that. I just like to watch her blood boil just a little bit. Look, Costco understands what is about to happen to the price of precious metals. Costco understands that the prices of precious metals typically rise with any of the following things I'm about to talk about. So, number one is economic uncertainty or instability. And I'm not sure I've talked to one person recently that's like, hey, this economy is awesome right now. Of course, another thing you got is inflation. Also, just about everyone I've talked to has complained about the rising prices of goods and services. Yeah, a drop to 3.2% my ass. Then you have all the geopolitical tensions, and this one is huge. You got the war in Ukraine, which is obviously massive. Everyone knows about the war in Ukraine. You have the Iran protests and the nuclear program issues. You got the war in Yemen, right? There's still a lot that can go wrong in Ethiopia, even though the recent agreements were made. There's still a lot that can go wrong there. You got the M23 rebels that have reemerged in the eastern DRC. There's the disaster in Haiti since the murder of the president. And really, the situation in Taiwan isn't getting any better. There's a lot going on with the global tensions. Of course, market trends play a part, and central bank policy and moves. And I want to talk about this more in just a second because this is absolutely massive. And realistically, the price of gold can go up a good bit when any of those one things are happening, and we really have all of them going on at once. Some people are saying it's like the wild, wild west out there right now. So, really quick, I just want to go back to the central banks. So, this is huge. All of you understand what the central banks are, right? I mean, the central banks are the banks of the banks. We, the people, put our money into the banks, and the banks put their money into the central banks. Talk a lot about the central banks in my videos. If you want to learn more about them, just subscribe. But to make this super simple here, here's some of the things that the central banks do. So they set the interest rates, which obviously influences inflation expectations. They regulate the money supply. They regulate the banks. They act as the lender of last resort. And they often collect and analyze economic data to provide insights into the state of the economy. That is huge. Now pay attention to this. Those banks, the central banks. They bought the most gold on record last year in 2022. They bought 1,136 tons of gold in 2022. And get this, emerging economies were the main buyers. The article by Reuters also states the following: central banks like gold because it is expected to hold its value through turbulent times, and, unlike currencies and bonds, it does not rely on any issuer or government. Gold also enables central banks to diversify away from assets like US Treasuries and the dollar. Okay, so Costco is selling gold bars. Cool. That's a good sign for gold. But the central banks buying gold at record levels, that is a great sign for gold. And just take a look at this chart. We can see that not only was 2022 a record year, but it was by far a record year. Now, this article also states the following: central bank buying in 2023 is unlikely to match 2022 levels. But wait a minute here, World Gold Council. Did you speak too soon? Because now we are late in 2023. And this article from Morningstar says that global central bank purchases reach a record high for the first 9 months of the year. And they also state the following in this article: demand for gold from central banks year to date through the third quarter was 14% ahead of the same period last year at a record 800,000 metric tons. He shoots, he scores! Look, if Costco doesn't excite you about the future of precious metals, I get it. Kind of, I guess. But if this central bank data doesn't excite you, you were dropped on your head as a child and possibly kicked a few times. If there is anyone that knows what's going on before it happens, it's the central banks. And look, you might not be able to get gold at Costco, but I do have my recommended dealers below. And I don't really care if you use my dealers or find your own, but you better start getting educated. Now, I'm personally rolling portions of my 401k into a precious metals IRA to protect from the market downturn, which is coming. And I never understand why people just like to kind of sit and watch their 401k get demolished when it's pretty evident a market downturn is coming. And usually the argument is something like this: well, it always comes back anyways. And it's like, yeah, okay, but you could roll over to an asset that will go up during the downturn, and then you just roll it back to your traditional 401k at the end of the downturn. So what happens is, instead of watching your million go down to half a million and then taking another 5 to 10 years to go back to the original million, you could have watched it go from 1 million to 2 million to 4 million in that same time period. Again, the people I use for my precious metals IRA, they're below. They offer an awesome 100% free kit to help people get educated on what I'm talking about in the above, in case you're not following me. That's how I learned about it. Absolutely awesome kit. I recommend everyone just get the kit. Just get educated. Like, just get the education alone. And then when it comes to getting a dealer, you can either use them or find your own, whatever floats your boat. But I think it's pretty obvious that the writing is on the wall. And for me, the Costco data is big, but look, the central bank data is massive. Don't just sit around and do nothing. Make sure you educate yourself. There's a lot of people that are about to lose a lot of money, and it's the uneducated that lose the most.